1870, Montana Territory. Clara Walsh was waist-deep in the river when she heard the horse. She froze, heart hammering, water lapping at her shoulders. The chamise clung to her skin, her hair loose and dripping down her back. She'd thought she was alone. She'd been certain this stretch of river was miles from anywhere, hidden in a fold of pine-covered hills where the railroad surveyors hadn't reached yet. The horse snorted. Leather creaked. Clara's breath caught. Her clothes were on the bank, 20 feet away. Her camera equipment even farther. And between her and safety stood a man. He emerged from the trees, leading a paint horse, and stopped dead. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Clara saw him take in the scene with widening eyes. His hand flew up in an automatic gesture of apology, his face flushing dark beneath his tan. "I didn't know anyone was here," he said quickly, looking anywhere but at her. "I swear, I didn't see anything. I was just watering my horse." Clara found her voice. "Turn around." "Already doing it." He spun so fast he nearly tripped over his own boots. His shoulders were rigid with embarrassment. She should have been terrified. A strange man, miles from anywhere, her completely vulnerable. But something about his mortification felt genuine. And more than that, something about him felt desperate. Clara edged toward the bank, keeping low in the water. "You can leave now." "I'm going." But he didn't move. "Look, I'm sorry. This is the first water I've found in 2 days and my horse is dying of thirst. Can I just let him drink while you get dressed?" "I won't look. I promise." There was something in his voice. Exhaustion. Maybe even fear. Clara hesitated. She was 24 years old, had been traveling alone for 3 weeks, and had learned to read danger in men's voices. This wasn't danger. This was someone as lost as she was. "Fine," she said. "But if you turn around, I'm shooting you. My rifle is right there on my clothes." It wasn't. It was in her wagon, 50 yards through the trees. But he didn't need to know that. Understood. He led his horse to the water's edge, still facing away. The animal dipped its nose and drank greedily. Clara scrambled out, water streaming from her chamise. She grabbed her dress and pulled it on over the wet fabric, fumbling with buttons. Her fingers shook. Not from fear now, but from something else. The sheer absurdity of it, the strange intimacy of his rigid back, the way he was determinedly studying the tree line like his life depended on it. "You can turn around now," she said, wringing water from her hair. He turned slowly. In the golden afternoon light, she saw him clearly for the first time. Early 30s, maybe. Sun-streaked hair that needed cutting. A few days of stubble on a strong jaw. Hazel eyes that held too much wariness for a man his age. Tall, lean, the kind of build that came from hard living and not enough food. His clothes were dusty and worn. His gun belt sat low on his hips. He looked like an outlaw. Clara's stomach tightened. She'd run from one dangerous man right into the path of another. But when he met her eyes, she saw something unexpected. Shame. He looked away first. "I really am sorry," he said. "I wasn't following you or anything. I've just been riding for days, and I needed water." "Where are you headed?" "Anywhere that isn't here." He adjusted his hat, still not quite meeting her eyes. "You?" "Same." Something flickered in his expression. Understanding, maybe. Or recognition. Two people running from something, finding each other by accident in the middle of nowhere. "I'm Noah," he said finally. "Noah Hawkins." The name meant nothing to her. She relaxed slightly. "Clara Walsh. You always bathe in the middle of rivers, Miss Walsh?" Despite everything, Clara felt her lips twitch. "You always stumble onto women while they're bathing, Mr. Hawkins?" "First time, actually. Hoping it's the last." But there was the faintest hint of a smile at the corner of his mouth. "Though I guess if it had to happen, at least you didn't shoot me. Day's not over yet." That got a real smile from him. Brief, but genuine. It transformed his face, made him look younger, less haunted. Then his horse raised its head, ears pricked forward. Noah's hand went to his gun in one smooth motion. The smile vanished. "What is it?" Clara whispered. "Riders. Coming fast." His eyes scanned the tree line. "How many horses you got?" "One. A mule, actually. Pulling my wagon." "Where?" "Through those trees. Maybe 50 yards." Noah swore under his breath. The sound of hoofbeats was getting louder, multiple horses moving at speed. He looked at Clara, then at the trees, calculating. "Those your people coming?" he asked. "No. I don't have people. Neither do I. But somebody's definitely coming, and they're not out for a Sunday ride." He made a decision. "Get your things. Fast." Clara didn't argue. She grabbed her boots, her camera bag, the canvas sack with her clothes. Noah was already moving toward the trees where her wagon waited. They reached her wagon just as the riders broke through the trees behind them. 5 men, riding hard, dust rising in their wake. Noah grabbed Clara's arm. "Do you know them?" She looked back, and her blood went cold. The lead rider wore a fine, dark suit, even in this heat. His silver hair was combed back beneath his hat. "Cornelius Lockhart." "Yes," she breathed. "I know him." "Friend or enemy?" "Enemy. Very much enemy." Noah's jaw tightened. "Then we need to move. Now. Can you drive this wagon?" "Of course I can." "Good. Because we're about to run." He swung onto his paint horse as Clara scrambled onto the wagon seat. Her mule, bless him, seemed to sense the urgency. She snapped the reins and the wagon lurched forward. Behind them, Cornelius Lockhart's voice rang out. "Clara, stop this nonsense. You're only making this harder on yourself." Noah rode close to the wagon. "Any idea what he wants?" "Me. He wants me married to him. And he doesn't care that I've said no a dozen times." "Railroad man?" "How did you know?" "Lucky guess. They're the only ones with enough money to chase a woman halfway across Montana." He looked back. "They're gaining. This wagon's too slow. I'm not leaving my equipment." Wasn't suggesting it. Noah pulled his rifle from its saddle holster. "Just warning you, this is about to get rough. Can you shoot?" "I told you I had a rifle." "I know what you told me. Can you actually use it?" Clara reached under the wagon seat and pulled out her Winchester. "My father taught me when I was 12. I can hit what I'm aiming at." Noah's eyebrows rose. "Good. Then aim at anyone who gets too close." The wagon bounced over rough ground, Clara fighting to keep it steady. Behind them, Lockhart's men were closing the gap. She heard gunshots, bullets whining past. Noah fired back, his shots deliberate and measured. One of the rider's horses screamed and went down, throwing its rider. The others slowed, more cautious now. "There's a canyon up ahead," Noah called. "If we can reach it before they catch us, the walls are narrow enough to defend. Can you make it?" "I can make it." She pushed the mule harder. The wagon careened around rocks, wheels bouncing dangerously. Her camera equipment rattled in the back. Everything she owned, everything she'd worked for, was in this wagon. She wasn't losing it. She wasn't going back to Cornelius Lockhart's cold mansion in colder hands. The canyon appeared ahead, a slash of shadow in the golden hillside. Clara aimed for it. Behind them, the riders were coming again, bolder now. Noah fired twice more. "Almost there. Keep going." They plunged into the canyon's mouth, the walls rising steep and close on either side. The wagon barely fit. Clara had to slow down, navigating carefully between the rock faces. Behind them, the shooting stopped. She looked back to see Lockhart's men pulled up at the canyon entrance, unwilling to follow into the narrow space, or they'd be easy targets. Cornelius Lockhart himself rode forward. Even from this distance, Clara could see the fury on his handsome face. "This is foolish, Clara," he shouted. "You think you can hide from me? I own half of Montana territory. There's nowhere you can go that I won't find you." Noah raised his rifle, aiming carefully. He didn't fire, just kept the barrel trained on Lockhart. A warning. The railroad man saw it and pulled back. But his voice carried through the canyon. "I'll find you, Clara. And when I do, you'll regret making me chase you." Then they were gone, the sound of hoofbeats fading. Clara's hands shook on the reins. She forced herself to breathe. Noah holstered his rifle and rode closer. "You all right?" "No." "Yes. I don't know." She looked at him. This stranger who'd accidentally found her bathing and had just helped her escape 5 armed men. "Why did you help me?" "Because you didn't shoot me when you had the chance." He smiled slightly. Seemed only fair to return the favor. "They'll come back." "I know. I can't go back to him. I won't." Something flickered in Noah's eyes. Understanding. Or maybe just bone-deep exhaustion with running. "Then I guess we keep moving." Clara studied him. "You're running from something too. That's why you're out here alone." "Yes." "Are you dangerous?" "Not to you." It wasn't quite an answer. But it was honest. And right now, honesty was more than she'd gotten from any man in months. She made a decision. "I have food in the wagon. Supplies. If you help me get somewhere safe, I'll share them. And I won't ask questions about what you're running from." Noah looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Deal. But you should know something, Miss Walsh. The men chasing me aren't after money or marriage. They're after my neck. I'm wanted for murder." Clara's breath caught. "Did you do it?" "No. But that doesn't seem to matter much to the law." She should have been afraid. Should have told him to leave, to take his danger and his trouble somewhere else. But when she looked at him, she didn't see a murderer. She saw a man with the same desperation in his eyes that she felt in her own chest. 2 people running. 2 people with nowhere else to go. Then we both have reasons to avoid civilization, she said finally. Which means we're going to need each other if we want to survive. Noah's expression shifted. Surprise, maybe. Or relief. You sure about this? No. But I'm sure about what happens if Cornelius catches me. And I'm guessing you're sure about what happens if the law catches you. She held out her hand. So we help each other, at least until we're safe. He hesitated, then reached out and took her hand. His grip was warm, calloused, surprisingly gentle. At least until we're safe, he agreed. Neither of them mentioned that safety might be a long way off, or that helping each other might be more complicated than either of them expected. But as the sun began to sink toward the horizon, painting the canyon walls in shades of amber and rose, Clara felt something shift inside her chest. Not quite hope. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. She wasn't alone anymore, and neither was he. They rode deeper into the canyon as the light faded. Behind them, the entrance disappeared around a bend. Ahead, the passage widened into a sheltered space where a thin stream trickled between rocks. We'll stop here for the night, Noah said. It's defensible, and that stream means we have water. Clara guided the wagon to a flat spot near the rocks. Her arms ached from fighting the rains. Her dress was still damp and uncomfortable. She felt like she'd aged 10 years in the last hour. Noah dismounted and began unsaddling his horse. I'll scout the area, make sure we're alone. You all right to make camp? I've been traveling alone for 3 weeks. I can make camp. He smiled slightly at that. I'm learning not to underestimate you, Miss Walsh. Good. Don't start now. By the time Noah returned, Clara had a small fire going and coffee heating in a dented pot. She'd changed into dry clothes behind the wagon, her camera equipment safely stowed. The mule was unhitched and hobbled near the stream. All clear, Noah reported. No sign of anyone for miles. They'll be back. Probably. But not tonight. Lockhart doesn't strike me as the type to camp rough. Clara poured coffee into 2 tin cups and handed him one. You're right about that. Cornelius Lockhart likes his comforts. His mansion in Helena has indoor plumbing and crystal chandeliers. He thinks the frontier is uncivilized. Then what's he doing out here? Building his railroad, making his fortune, and deciding he wants a wife young enough to be his daughter. Bitterness crept into her voice. My father owed him money. When my father died, Cornelius decided the debt could be paid with me. Noah's jaw tightened. And the law agreed? The law works for him, at least in Helena. They sat by the fire as darkness fell. The flames painted shadows on the canyon walls. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote howled. What about you? Clara asked. What happened that got you branded a murderer? Noah stared into the fire. For a moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. I was foreman on a ranch outside Butte, he said finally. Good job. Good boss. Then the owner's son got drunk and decided to settle some grudge with me. He pulled a gun. We fought. The gun went off. He paused. He died. I ran. By the time I thought about going back and explaining, the law had already decided I was guilty. His father put a bounty on my head. A bounty? $500, dead or alive. He smiled without humor. Turns out that's enough to make a lot of men very interested in finding me. Clara studied his face in the firelight, the lines around his eyes, the weariness in his expression. "How long have you been running?" 4 months. Feels like 4 years. She understood that. 3 weeks of running from Cornelius had felt like an eternity. "Where were you trying to go?" she asked. "Canada, maybe. Or just far enough that no one knows my name." He looked at her. "What about you? Where were you headed when I found you?" "Away." That was the extent of my plan. "No family?" "My mother died when I was young. My father raised me, taught me photography. We traveled together, taking portraits and landscapes. When he died last year, I thought I'd continue the work." She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. "Then Cornelius Lockhart decided I needed a husband. His lawyers came with papers. I had a week to agree or lose everything. So I packed what I could and left." "Taking pictures," Noah said thoughtfully. "That why you've got all that equipment?" "That equipment is my livelihood. My father built that camera himself. I'm not losing it to Cornelius Lockhart or anyone else." Something shifted in Noah's expression. "Respect, maybe. You're brave." Most women wouldn't run alone like that. Most women don't have much choice in who they marry. I decided I'd rather take my chances with the wilderness than spend my life with that man. He seemed pretty determined. He's used to getting what he wants. Men like him always are. Clara poked at the fire. "What I don't understand is why he wants me. He could have any woman in Helena. Prettier ones, younger ones. Ones who actually want to marry him. Maybe that's why," Noah said quietly. "You said no. Men like him don't hear that often." It was uncomfortably true. Cornelius Lockhart had everything money could buy. Everything except the one thing Clara refused to give him. "Well, he can chase me from here to Canada," Clara said firmly. "I'm not going back. Even if it means living rough, sleeping in wagons, never staying in one place. Even then." Noah smiled slightly. "Like I said, brave." They fell silent. The fire crackled. Above them, stars filled the sky in a brilliant sweep. Out here, miles from any town, the darkness was complete. But somehow, sitting by this small fire with this stranger, Clara didn't feel afraid. "We should sleep," Noah said eventually. "Tomorrow we need to put more distance between us and Helena." "Where are we going?" "South, maybe. Into Wyoming territory. Or west, toward Idaho. Somewhere Lockhart's money doesn't reach quite so far." Clara nodded. It was as good a plan as any. "All right. But we need to talk about the rules." "Rules?" She ignored her sight. Let's was sight, surpassed around her. And mentaling the story, where there are not her him. Bliss place where lost whiles white, out that tired. Cone the stranding a didn't tick out of that thing. I also might have done all the crying the player or suppose. If we're traveling together, we need rules. First rule, we don't ask about each other's past unless we choose to share it. Agreed? Agreed. Second rule, we both get a say in decisions. Where we go, when we stop. This is a partnership, not you protecting the helpless woman. Noah's lips twitched. I don't think anyone could mistake you for helpless, Miss Walsh. Good. Keep it that way. She stood. Third rule, you sleep on that side of the fire, I sleep on this side. And if you come near me in the night, I'm shooting you with that rifle I may or may not have. You do have it, don't you? Maybe you'll never find out." Noah laughed. A real laugh this time. "Fair enough. Any other rules?" "Just one. We watch each other's backs. Whatever's chasing us, we face it together." He stood and extended his hand. "Deal." Clara shook it. His hand was warm and strong, and for just a moment, she felt the calluses on his palm. The roughness that came from years of hard work. "Good night, Mr. Hawkins." "Good night, Miss Walsh." She spread her bedroll on one side of the fire. He spread his on the other. The flames burned between them. A small point of warmth in the vast darkness. Clara lay on her back, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Cornelius Lockhart was planning his next move. Somewhere else, whoever was chasing Noah was following his trail. Tomorrow would bring new dangers, new challenges. But tonight, for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel completely alone. And when she finally fell asleep, it was to the sound of Noah's steady breathing across the fire, and the knowledge that someone was watching over her while she rested. Morning came with pale light filtering into the canyon. Clara woke to the smell of coffee and bacon. She sat up to find Noah already awake, tending a small fire. "Morning," he said. "Figured you'd be hungry." "I am. But that's my food you're cooking. And you said you'd share if I helped you." "I'm helping." He grinned. "Besides, I'm a better cook than you probably are." Bold assumption. Am I wrong? Clara thought of the burned dinners and failed bread from her weeks alone. No comment. He laughed and handed her a plate. The bacon was perfectly crisp, and he'd somehow made Johnny cakes from her cornmeal stores. They ate in comfortable silence. The morning was cool, the air fresh. For a few minutes, Clara could almost forget they were both running for their lives. "We should move soon," Noah said. "Get as far as we can before the heat sets in." Agreed. "But I need to pack my equipment carefully. Some of it's fragile." "I'll help." He was as good as his word. While Clara organized her photographic plates and chemicals, Noah checked the wagon's wheels and axles, tightened loose boards, even greased the squeaky wheel that had been driving her mad for days. "You're handy with tools," she observed. "Ranch foreman, remember? If something broke, I fixed it. Couldn't afford to pay someone else." Useful skill. More useful than I expected. Never thought I'd be repairing a photographer's wagon in the middle of Montana. And I never thought I'd be running from an obsessed railroad baron with a wanted outlaw. Clara secured the last of her equipment. Seems we're both full of surprises. They were ready to leave when Noah held up his hand. "Wait. Someone's coming." Clara's heart jumped. "Lockhart?" "No. Just one rider, coming from the south." They waited, tense. A minute later, a horse appeared at the canyon's far end. The rider was old, weathered, wearing a battered hat and buckskin jacket. He raised one hand in greeting. "Morning, folks," he called. "Mind if I water my horse at that stream?" Noah's hand stayed near his gun. "Come ahead." Slowly. The old man dismounted, moving with the stiffness of age and hard living. Up close, Clara saw he was native, probably Blackfoot, with deep lines around his eyes and gray streaking his long hair. "Name's Running Wolf," he said. Been trapping up in the high country. You two headed somewhere particular? South, Noah said cautiously. You? Home. My wife's probably wondering where I am. Running Wolf let his horse drink, then looked at them both. You two running from something? Clara and Noah exchanged glances. Running Wolf chuckled. Thought so. Got that look about you. The woman's got fear in her eyes. The man's got law trouble written all over him. We're not looking for trouble, Noah said. Didn't say you were. Said you got trouble chasing you. Different thing. He pulled out a pipe and lit it. How much law trouble? Enough. And the woman? Not law trouble, Clara said. Just a man who won't take no for an answer. Running Wolf nodded slowly. Rich man? Very. Rich men are worse than the law sometimes. Law might let you go. Rich man won't stop till he gets what he wants. He puffed his pipe. You two together? Traveling together, Noah corrected. We met yesterday. Yesterday? Running Wolf smiled slightly. But sleeping on different sides of the fire. Good. That's respect. My daughter, she married too quick. Didn't know the man. Turned out bad. He pointed his pipe stem south. If you're headed that way, go through Big Timber. Small town. But the sheriff there don't care much about bounties. More interested in keeping the peace. Tell him Running Wolf sent you. He'll leave you alone. Why would you help us? Clara asked. Because I got eyes. That wagon. All that equipment. You're trying to make a living. And him? Running Wolf looked at Noah. He got the look of a man who killed in defense, not murder. I seen both. I know the difference. He remounted his horse. Big Timber. 2 days' ride. Follow the river south. You can't miss it. Thank you, Noah said. Don't thank me. Just don't prove me wrong about you. Running Wolf tipped his hat to Clara. And you, girl, don't let that rich man catch you. Men like that, they don't want wives. They want possessions. Then he was gone, riding north toward the high country. Clara looked at Noah. Do we trust him? Don't see we have much choice. We need a place to resupply. Big Timber's as good as anywhere. A town means people. People means someone might recognize you. Maybe. But we can't survive on what we've got. He gestured to the wagon. You need photographic supplies. I need ammunition. We both need food. We have to risk it eventually. He was right. Clara knew it. Fine, but we're careful. In and out quickly. Agreed. They set out south, following the river as Running Wolf had instructed. The land opened up, hills giving way to broader valleys. By midday, the heat was oppressive. Clara's dress clung to her back. The mule plodded along, head low. They stopped at midday to rest in the shade of a cottonwood grove. Clara soaked a cloth in the river and pressed it to her neck. Noah let the horses drink and refilled their canteens. How far to Big Timber? Clara asked. If we keep this pace, we'll be there tomorrow afternoon. He sat down beside her, keeping a respectful distance. You holding up all right? I'm fine. Just not used to this heat. You can rest in the wagon if you want. I can lead the mule. I'm not helpless. Remember? Didn't say you were. Just offering. He pulled off his hat and ran a hand through his damp hair. "But I'm learning you don't accept help easily." Clara smiled slightly. "Had to learn not to. My father was gone a lot, taking photographs in the mountains. I was alone for weeks sometimes. If I couldn't handle things myself, I didn't survive. That why you can shoot? That's why I can do a lot of things. Shoot, hunt, fix a wagon wheel, develop photographs in a tent." She looked at him. "What about you? You always this good at fixing things and cooking over a fire? Ranch life teaches you everything. Carpentry, blacksmithing, animal doctoring. If you can't do it yourself, it doesn't get done." He leaned back against the tree. "I liked that life. Honest work. Good people. I thought I'd do it forever. You miss it. Every day." There was such longing in his voice that Clara felt her chest tighten. "Maybe someday you can go back. Once this is cleared up. Maybe. If I live that long." He looked at her. "What about you? You planning to keep running forever? Until Cornelius gives up? Or until I'm far enough away that he can't find me? Men like him don't give up easy. Then I'll run as far as I have to." She met his eyes. "I'd rather die free than live as his possession." Noah held her gaze for a long moment. Something passed between them, an understanding that went deeper than words. Two people who'd chosen freedom over safety. Two people who knew what that choice cost. "We should keep moving," he said finally. "Plenty of hours before dark." They traveled through the afternoon, the landscape slowly changing around them. The river wound through valleys dotted with sage and buffalo grass. Once, they saw a herd of pronghorn antelope, dozens of them moving like water across the plain. Clara wished she had time to set up her camera, to capture that beautiful sight on glass. As evening approached, they made camp near a stand of willows. Noah shot a rabbit for dinner, while Clara gathered firewood. They worked together easily now, falling into a rhythm. She prepared the rabbit while he started the fire. He made coffee while she set out plates. "You're good at this," Noah observed. "Camping, I mean. Most women I've known wouldn't last a day out here. Most women don't have a choice but to stay in towns and do what men tell them." Clara turned the rabbit on the spit. "I had a father who believed I should know how to survive. He taught me everything he knew. Smart man. He was. Until he made a bad deal with Cornelius Lockhart. They ate as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The evening was cooler, a breeze carrying the scent of sage. "Tomorrow we'll reach Big Timber," Noah said. "We need to be smart about it. Go in separately. Meet up after we've gotten what we need." "You think someone's looking for you there?" "Could be. That bounty's been posted all over Montana." He poked at the fire. "And Lockhart's probably sent word to every town in the territory about you. So we're both criminals now." "Seems that way." Clara should have been frightened. Should have been planning to go her own way, to put distance between herself and Noah's trouble. But instead, she found herself studying his face in the firelight, the strong line of his jaw, the way his eyes reflected the flames. He was handsome, she realized. Not in the polished way Cornelius Lockhart was handsome, all groomed and refined. Noah's was a rougher beauty, earned through hard living and harder choices. There was something genuine about him, something real. And when he looked at her, she didn't feel like a possession or a prize. She felt seen. "What are you thinking?" he asked, catching her stare. Clara felt heat rise to her cheeks. Nothing. Just tired. You're a terrible liar, Miss Walsh. And you're too observant, Mr. Hawkins. He smiled. That slow smile that transformed his face. Fair enough. I won't push. But there was something in his eyes now. A warmth that hadn't been there before. Or maybe it had been. And Clara was only now letting herself see it. She looked away, flustered. I should sleep. Long day tomorrow. Good idea. They settled on opposite sides of the fire again. But tonight, as Clara lay in her bedroll, she found herself acutely aware of Noah across the flames. The sound of his breathing. The occasional shift of his body. The knowledge that he was there, watching over her. It should have felt strange, sleeping near a man she barely knew. Instead, it felt safe. She drifted off, wondering when safety had started to feel like something more. Morning brought clouds building on the horizon, dark and heavy with the promise of rain. Noah studied the sky with a frown. Storm coming. We need to reach town before it hits. They moved faster, the wagon bouncing over rough ground. By midday, Clara could see the first buildings of Big Timber in the distance. Her heart started to pound. Remember, Noah said, we go in separately. You first. I'll wait an hour, then follow. Where do we meet? There's usually a church in these towns. Meet there when you're done. Clara nodded. Her mouth was dry. What if someone recognizes you? Then I run. And you pretend you never met me. Noah. I'm serious, Clara. If it goes bad, you save yourself. Don't try to help me. She wanted to argue. But his expression was set. Determined. All right, she said. But the same goes for you. If Lockhart's men are here, I'll get you out. I promise. There was something fierce in his voice that made her chest tighten. How had this happened? How had this stranger become someone she trusted in just 2 days? Clara drove the wagon into Big Timber alone, her rifle close at hand. The town was small, maybe 36 buildings lining a single dirt street. A general store, a saloon, a small church with a crooked steeple. She parked the wagon near the store and went inside. The shopkeeper was a thin man with spectacles and a suspicious expression. Help you? I need photographic supplies. Collodion, developing chemicals, glass plates if you have them. He looked her up and down. You a photographer? Yes. I'm traveling through, taking portraits and landscapes. We got some supplies in back. My wife does tintype portraits sometimes. He disappeared into a back room. Clara waited, her nerves jumping at every sound. But the store was quiet, only the tick of a clock breaking the silence. The shopkeeper returned with a box. This is what I got. Take it or leave it. The prices were high, but Clara paid without arguing. She couldn't risk drawing attention by haggling. You passing through? The shopkeeper asked as he counted her money. Yes. Headed south. There's a railroad man been through here asking about a young woman traveling alone. Dark hair. Pretty. Offering a reward for information. Clara's blood went cold. Is that so? Yep. Said she's his fiancée. Ran away from their wedding. The shopkeeper looked at her meaningfully. That wouldn't be you, would it? Clara forced herself to smile. I'm afraid not. I'm already married. My husband's meeting me in Wyoming. That's so? Where is he? Scouting ahead, making sure the roads are safe. The shopkeeper studied her for a long moment. Then he pushed her money back across the counter. Tell you what, you take these supplies as a gift, and you get out of my town before that railroad man comes back. Clara stared at him. Why would you help me? Because I got a daughter about your age, and if some rich bastard was chasing her, I'd hope someone would help her run. He wrapped her supplies in brown paper. But I'm warning you, girl. He's got men watching the roads. You stay here. They'll find you. Thank you, Clara whispered. She hurried back to her wagon, her heart racing. Lockhart's men were already here. How long before they found Noah? She drove to the church and waited. Every minute, feeling like an hour. The storm clouds were closer now, the air heavy and still. Finally, Noah appeared, walking quickly from the opposite end of town. He carried a burlap sack and looked grim. We need to leave. Now. I know. Lockhart's got men here. And there's a wanted poster with my face on it nailed to the saloon door. He threw his supplies into the wagon. Someone might have recognized me. We can't stay. They were heading out of town when the rain hit. Sudden and violent. Within seconds, Clara was soaked. The road turned to mud beneath the wagon wheels. There! Noah pointed to a barn on the outskirts of town. We can shelter there until this passes. They made it to the barn just as lightning split the sky. Thunder crashed overhead. Noah pulled the wagon inside and closed the big doors against the storm. The barn was dry and warm, hay stacked in the corners. A few chickens clucked from a roost. Otherwise, it was empty. Clara stood dripping in the doorway, her dress clinging to her, hair hanging in wet ropes. Noah was equally soaked, his shirt plastered to his chest, water running down his face. Their eyes met. Something crackled in the air between them, more electric than the lightning outside. We should get dry, Clara said, her voice barely audible over the rain hammering on the roof. Yeah, we should. Neither of them moved. The storm raged around them, wind howling, thunder shaking the walls. But inside the barn, everything went still. Clara's breath caught as Noah took a step closer. Clara, he said, his voice rough. I need to tell you something. What? These 2 days with you. They've been the first time I've felt alive in months. The first time I felt like something other than a hunted animal. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Noah, I know it's fast. I know we barely know each other. But I need you to know that if something happens, if they catch me, or if Lockhart gets you, I want you to remember that these 2 days mattered. You matter. Clara couldn't breathe, couldn't think. She was acutely aware of every detail. The way his wet shirt clung to his shoulders, the intensity in his hazel eyes, the fact that they were completely alone, sheltered from the world by wooden walls and a raging storm. You matter to me too, she whispered. Noah's hand came up slowly, giving her time to pull away. His fingers brushed her cheek, pushing wet hair back from her face. His touch was gentle, questioning. Clara leaned into it. The decision made itself. He kissed her. It was soft at first, tentative. His lips warm against hers, his hand cradling her face. Clara's eyes fluttered closed. She'd been kissed before, by boys who thought they had a right to it. But this was different. This was a question, not a demand. An offer, not a taking. She answered by pressing closer. Noah's other arm came around her waist, pulling her against him. The kiss deepened, and Clara felt heat flood through her despite her wet clothes. His hand slid into her hair, and she clutched his shirt, feeling his heart pound beneath her palm. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I shouldn't have done that," Noah said, but he didn't let her go. "Yes, you should have." Clara looked up at him. "I wanted you to." "Clara, I'm wanted by the law. I've got bounty hunters after me. And you've got a railroad baron who won't stop until he finds you. We're about the worst possible match. I know. Getting involved with me could get you killed. I know that too. Then why? Because I'm tired of running alone. Because you make me feel safe when nothing else does. Because when I look at you, I don't see a murderer. I see a good man dealt a bad hand." She touched his face, feeling the roughness of his stubble under her fingers. "And because these 2 days have mattered to me too." Noah closed his eyes, leaning into her touch. "What are we doing?" "I don't know. Surviving? Hoping? Maybe just not being alone for a little while." He opened his eyes and looked at her with such intensity that Clara's breath caught. "I can't promise you anything. Can't promise we'll make it out of this. Can't promise I won't get caught. Can't promise." "I'm not asking for promises," Clara interrupted. "I'm just asking for right now, this moment. Can you give me that?" In answer, Noah kissed her again, deeper this time, with more certainty. Clara melted into him, her arms going around his neck. They were both soaked and cold, but where their bodies pressed together, there was only warmth. The storm raged on outside. But inside the barn, they created their own shelter. When they finally pulled apart again, Noah rested his forehead against hers. "We should get out of these wet clothes before we catch pneumonia." Clara's cheeks heated. "I have dry things in the wagon." "So do I." They separated reluctantly. Clara dug through her trunk for dry clothes, while Noah turned his back, giving her privacy. She changed quickly behind the wagon, pulling on a clean dress. When she turned around, Noah had changed into a dry shirt and was spreading their wet things over hay bales to dry. The intimacy of it struck her. The domesticity. Like they were a real couple, not two fugitives sheltering from a storm. "Rain's not letting up," Noah observed. "We might be here a while." "That's all right." Clara settled onto a hay bale. "We're safe here. For now." Noah sat beside her, not quite touching, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. "Tell me something about you. Something real." "Like what?" "Anything. Your favorite thing to photograph. Your first memory. What you wanted to be when you were a little girl." Clara thought about it. "Mountains. My favorite thing to photograph is mountains. The way the light hits the peaks at sunrise, the shadows in the valleys. My father and I spent a whole summer in the Rockies once, just taking pictures. It was the happiest time of my life." "Why mountains?" "Because they're permanent, unchanging. Everything else in life shifts and moves and disappears, but mountains stay. Noah was quiet for a moment. What about your first memory? My mother singing. I was maybe 3 years old. She had a beautiful voice. She'd sing while she cooked, while she worked. After she died, the house went silent. My father and I, we didn't know how to fill that quiet. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. Clara looked at him. What about you? What's your happiest memory? Noah smiled slightly. My first cattle drive. I was 14, convinced I was a man. The foreman let me ride with the real cowboys. I was terrified and thrilled all at once. We drove those cattle for weeks, and by the end, I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life. Work with animals. Work the land. Be part of something bigger than myself. You'll do it again, Clara said with certainty. Once this is over, you'll go back to that life. You think so? I know so. Good men don't stay down forever. Noah took her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. You have a lot of faith in me. You have a lot of faith in me too. We're even. They sat like that as the storm continued, hands clasped, shoulders touching. It should have felt strange. Instead, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Eventually, the rain lessened to a drizzle, then stopped altogether. The sun broke through the clouds, painting everything in golden light. We should move on, Noah said reluctantly. Can't risk staying this close to town. I know, but neither of them moved immediately. They just sat there, holding hands, unwilling to break the spell. Finally, Noah stood and pulled Clara to her feet. But he didn't let go. Instead, he pulled her close one more time, kissing her forehead. Whatever happens from here, he said quietly, I'm glad I found you bathing in that river. Clara laughed despite everything. I'm glad you found me too. Even if it was the most embarrassing moment of my life. Could have been worse. How? I could have kept riding. Never stopped. Never met you. He was right. That would have been infinitely worse. They packed up and continued south, leaving Big Timber behind. The land was fresh-washed from the rain, everything green and alive. Clara drove the wagon while Noah rode alongside. But now, things were different between them. Now, when their eyes met, there was understanding. Connection. The beginning of something neither of them had names for yet. The sun was setting when they spotted riders behind them. 5 of them, moving fast. Is it Lockhart? Clara asked, her stomach dropping. Noah pulled out his spyglass and studied them. His face went grim. Worse. Bounty hunters. They must have spotted me in town. What do we do? Run. Again. He looked at her. I'm sorry, Clara. I brought this on us. We're in this together, remember? Your trouble is my trouble now. Despite everything, Noah smiled. When did you get so stubborn? I was always stubborn. You're just now noticing. They pushed hard, but the wagon was too slow. The riders were gaining. There, Noah pointed to a narrow canyon ahead. If we can make it there, we can defend the entrance. Clara snapped the reins. The mule gave everything it had. Behind them, the bounty hunters were close enough that Clara could hear them shouting. They plunged into the canyon just as the first shots rang out. Bullets whined off the rocks. Clara hunched low on the wagon seat, her heart in her throat. Noah wheeled his horse around and returned fire. His shots were precise, forcing the hunters to take cover. It bought them precious seconds. The canyon twisted and turned, walls rising steep on either side. Clara navigated by instinct, the wagon lurching over rough ground. One wheel hit a rock and she nearly lost control, but somehow kept it upright. "Stop here," Noah called. "This bend gives us cover." Clara pulled the wagon across the narrow passage, creating a barricade. Noah dismounted and took position behind it, rifle ready. The bounty hunters appeared around the bend. Noah fired. One of them fell, clutching his shoulder. The others scattered to cover. "Give it up, Hawkins," one of them shouted. "You can't win this." "Don't have to win," Noah called back. "Just have to last longer than you're willing to." More shots. Clara crouched behind the wagon, her own rifle in her hands. She'd never shot at a person before. The thought made her sick. But when one of the hunters tried to circle around, she didn't hesitate. She fired. The shot went wide, but it was enough to make him retreat. "Good shot," Noah said. "I missed." "You made him think twice. That's what matters." The standoff continued as shadows lengthened. The bounty hunters had them trapped, but Noah and Clara had the better position. Neither side could advance without serious risk. Then, through the gathering dark, Clara heard new sounds. More horses. Many of them. "Noah," she said, her voice tight with fear. "More riders coming." He swore. "How many?" "I can't tell." "A lot." This was it then. They were surrounded, outnumbered. There was no way out. Clara looked at Noah. His face was set, determined. He wasn't going to surrender. He'd rather die fighting than let them take him. "Noah," she said, "if this is the end, it's not. But if it is, I want you to know." The new riders appeared, but they weren't coming from behind the bounty hunters. They were coming from deeper in the canyon, riding out from some hidden path. And they were native. Blackfoot, Clara realized. Maybe 20 of them. Leading them was Running Wolf. The old trapper rode forward calmly, placing himself between the bounty hunters and Noah's position. He said something in his own language, then switched to English. "These two are under my protection." One of the bounty hunters laughed. "You think we care about that, old man? There's a $500 bounty on Hawkins. Get out of our way." "No." Running Wolf's voice was quiet but carried absolute authority. "This is Blackfoot land. You have no authority here. You leave now, or my people make you leave." The bounty hunters looked at the 20 armed warriors surrounding them. The odds had suddenly shifted dramatically. "This isn't over, Hawkins," the lead hunter shouted. But he was already backing his horse away. "That bounty's still out there. Someone will collect it eventually." They rode away, disappearing into the dusk. Clara sagged against the wagon, her legs shaking. Noah lowered his rifle slowly, like he couldn't quite believe what had just happened. Running Wolf rode closer. "Told you to go to Big Timber. Didn't tell you to pick a fight with every bounty hunter in Montana." "We didn't pick it," Noah said. "They found us. Because you're not careful enough." The old man looked between them. "But you're brave, and you watch each other's backs. That's good." He gestured to his warriors. "We'll escort you to the territorial boundary. After that, you're on your own." "Why are you helping us?" Clara asked. Because the young ones wanted to, Running Wolf said simply. They think you're romantic. Two fugitives against the world, like the old stories. He smiled slightly. My daughter heard about you in town. The woman running from the railroad man, traveling with the wanted cowboy. She told the others. They decided you needed help. End quote. Clara didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They'd become a story, a legend in the making. Thank you, Noah said quietly. Don't thank me yet. You still got a long way to go. And that railroad man, he's not going to stop. I know. Running Wolf nodded. Then ride smart, ride fast. And remember, sometimes the best place to hide is in plain sight. He turned his horse. Come, we ride through the night. They traveled through the darkness, surrounded by Blackfoot warriors who moved like shadows. Clara felt safer than she had since leaving Helena. These people owed them nothing, yet they helped anyway. By dawn, they'd reached the Wyoming territorial boundary. Running Wolf called a halt. This is where we part, he said. You go south into Wyoming, find a town called Redemption. Tell the sheriff there Running Wolf says you're all right. He's a good man. He'll help if he can. How can we ever repay you? Clara asked. Live. Build something good. Don't let them catch you. Running Wolf smiled. And maybe, someday, send word that you made it. Old man like me, I like to know my stories have happy endings. Then they were gone, riding back into Montana territory like ghosts. Clara and Noah sat alone in the early morning light, the vast expanse of Wyoming territory stretching before them. We made it, Clara said softly. We're out of Montana. For now. But Lockhart's reach extends into Wyoming too. Then we keep running. How far? As far as it takes. Noah looked at her. In the dawn light, she looked exhausted and beautiful and impossibly brave. You could stop running, you know. Find a town, settle down. Make a life for yourself taking photographs. You don't have to keep doing this. Neither do you. You could turn yourself in, try to prove your innocence. We both know how that would end. Then we're both committed to this. Together. Noah reached out and took her hand. Together. They rode into Wyoming as the sun rose. Two fugitives, chasing freedom. Behind them lay everything they'd lost. Ahead lay only uncertainty. But they had each other. And for now, that was enough. The town of Redemption appeared 3 days later, shimmering in the heat like a mirage. Clara had never been so glad to see civilization. They'd been careful, avoiding main roads, camping in hidden places. Noah had taught her how to cover their tracks, how to watch for pursuit. Clara had shown him how to develop photographs in makeshift darkrooms, turning their flight into something that might resemble a business. They were partners now, in every sense. Working together, planning together, falling asleep on opposite sides of the fire, but waking closer each morning. And though neither of them said it out loud, they both knew something had shifted. This wasn't just about survival anymore. Redemption was small, but prosperous, with a main street lined with false-fronted buildings. A hotel, a saloon, a general store, and at the far end, a sheriff's office. You sure about this? Clara asked as they rode in. No. But Running Wolf hasn't steered us wrong yet. They tied up outside the sheriff's office. A middle-aged man with a salt and pepper beard sat on the porch, whittling. "Help you folks?" he asked without looking up. "We're looking for the sheriff," Noah said. "You found him. Name's Dalton. What's your business?" "Running Wolf sent us." Now Dalton looked up. His eyes were sharp, assessing. "Did he now? What'd that old snake tell you?" "That you're a good man who might help us." Dalton set down his whittling. "Help you with what exactly?" Noah hesitated. Then he took a breath. "I'm wanted in Montana territory for a murder I didn't commit. She's running from a railroad baron who wants to force her into marriage. We need a place to lay low for a while." The sheriff studied them for a long moment. "I see. And if I check with Montana, what name would I be asking about?" "Noah Hawkins." "And the railroad man?" "Cornelius Lockhart," Clara said. Dalton's expression didn't change. "Get off your horses. Come inside." They followed him into the small office. He poured 3 cups of coffee and gestured to chairs. "All right, let's hear the whole story. Start at the beginning." Noah told him everything. The fight with the boss's son. The gun going off. The bounty. Clara added her part. Her father's debt. Lockhart's obsession. Her flight into the wilderness. When they finished, Dalton leaned back in his chair. "Well, you two have certainly gotten yourselves into a mess." He sipped his coffee. "Lucky for you, I don't much care for railroad barons. Had one try to buy my town out from under me last year. Didn't appreciate it." "So you'll help us?" Clara asked. "Didn't say that. Said I don't like railroad men. That's different." He looked at Noah. "What happened in that fight?" "Truth now. He was drunk. Started shoving me, calling me names. I tried to walk away. He pulled his gun. I grabbed for it. We struggled. It went off. He died. I ran." Noah met the sheriff's eyes. "I didn't mean to kill him, but I won't say I'm sorry he's dead. He was a mean drunk who'd beaten half the hands on that ranch." Dalton nodded slowly. "And you, miss? Why didn't you just marry Lockhart? A lot of women would jump at the chance." "Because I'd rather die free than live as his possession. Because he's cruel and controlling, and he doesn't see me as a person. Because I deserve better." Clara's voice was firm. "My father taught me I was worth more than being some man's property. I won't forget that." "Good answer." Dalton stood. "All right. Here's what I'll do. You can stay in redemption for a while. Work, earn money, lay low. But you keep your heads down. No trouble. And if Lockhart's men come looking, I'll tell them I haven't seen you. But if the law comes with proper papers, I can't stop them. Understood?" "Understood," Noah said. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're still fugitives, still in danger. I'm just giving you a place to catch your breath." He looked between them. "And for what it's worth, I think you two are good people in bad situations. Try to stay alive long enough to prove it." They left the sheriff's office with something they hadn't had in weeks. "Hope. We need to find work," Clara said as they walked back toward the wagon. "Make some money. Resupply. I can hire on at one of the ranches. Probably won't take long to find something. And I can take portraits. Set up a studio somewhere." They looked at each other and smiled. For the first time, They were making plans that extended beyond the next day. "Miss Walsh," Noah said formally, "would you allow me to buy you dinner at that hotel? We've been eating campfire food for a week. I think we've earned a real meal." "Mr. Hawkins, I would be delighted." The hotel restaurant was small but clean, with red check tablecloths and the smell of home cooking. Clara realized she'd forgotten what it felt like to sit at a real table, to eat food she hadn't cooked herself over a fire. Noah ordered steaks and potatoes. Clara got chicken and dumplings. They ate slowly, savoring every bite. "This is nice," Clara said. "Almost feels normal." "Almost," Noah smiled. "Except we're fugitives pretending to be respectable." Details. After dinner, Noah walked Clara to the wagon where she'd parked at the edge of town. "I'll find us somewhere to stay," he said. "A boarding house or something. You need a real bed." "So do you. I've slept on the ground for months. I'm used to it." "Noah," Clara touched his arm. "We're partners. That means we both get beds. Deal?" He looked down at her hand on his arm, then up at her face. Something heated in his expression. "Clara, if we're staying in the same place, people will talk. Let them talk. It could ruin your reputation." "What reputation?" "I'm a fugitive photographer traveling with a wanted outlaw. I don't think I have much reputation left to ruin." Noah laughed. "Fair point." But he didn't move away. Neither did she. They stood close in the gathering dark, the sounds of the town settling for the night around them. "I should go," Noah said quietly. But his hand came up to cup her cheek. "You should," Clara agreed. But she leaned into his touch. He kissed her, soft and sweet, like he had all the time in the world. Clara's arms went around his neck, and for a few perfect moments, there was nothing but this. His lips on hers, his hand cradling her face, the warmth of his body against hers. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "I'll find us a boarding house," Noah said, his voice rough. "2 rooms. To keep things proper." "2 rooms," Clara agreed. But she was smiling. He smiled back. "Though I have a feeling we're not going to be very good at proper." "Probably not." He kissed her forehead, then made himself step away. "I'll come find you in the morning. We'll make plans." "All right." Clara watched him walk away, his figure disappearing into the shadows. Her lips still tingled from his kiss. Her heart felt too big for her chest. 2 days ago, she'd been alone and terrified. Now she had Noah, a partner. Maybe something more. She climbed into the wagon and lay down on her bedroll, but sleep was a long time coming. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, felt his kiss, heard his voice promising they'd face whatever came next together. Morning brought clear skies and the sound of hammering from somewhere in town. Clara washed her face in the water barrel and changed into a clean dress. She was pinning up her hair when Noah appeared, leading his horse. "Morning," he said, and the smile on his face made her stomach flutter. "Sleep well?" "Well enough." "You?" "Found a boarding house. Mrs. Henderson has 2 rooms available. They're small but clean, and she serves breakfast and dinner." "Sounds perfect." They settled into redemption over the next few days. Noah found work at a ranch outside town, breaking horses and mending fences. Clara set up a small studio in an empty storefront. offering portrait photography to anyone who wanted it. The town was curious about them, but not hostile. Sheriff Dalton had put the word out that they were under his protection, and that seemed to be enough. People nodded greetings. Shopkeepers served them without question. A few even hired Clara to take family portraits. For the first time in months, Clara began to relax, to imagine a life that wasn't just running. Every evening, Noah came back from the ranch dusty and tired. He'd wash up at the boarding house, then meet Clara for dinner. They'd sit together, talking about their days, making plans for the future. "I got paid today," Noah said one evening. "Not much, but it's honest money." "I made $10 this week," Clara added. "Mrs. Patterson hired me to photograph her whole family. Said she's never had a real photograph before." "We're doing it," Noah said with wonder. "Actually making a life here." "We are." Clara reached across the table and took his hand. "Almost feels too good to be true." "Don't say that. You'll jinx it." But 3 days later, the jinx arrived. Clara was in her studio, developing plates in the dark room she'd rigged in the back room. She heard the bell over the door jingle and called out. "I'll be with you in just a moment." She finished securing the plate and emerged, wiping her hands on her apron. Cornelius Lockhart stood in her studio. Clara froze, her heart stopping. He looked exactly as she remembered. Tall, silver-haired, impeccably dressed despite the frontier setting. Handsome in a cold, polished way that made her skin crawl. "Hello, Clara," he said smoothly. "You've led me on quite the chase." She backed toward the dark room, her mind racing. Her rifle was in the boarding house. All she had here was a letter opener on the desk. "How did you find me?" she managed. "I always find what belongs to me." He stepped closer. "Did you really think you could hide? That I'd just let you go? I don't belong to you. Your father's debt says otherwise." His smile was cold. "Now, we can do this the easy way, or the hard way. You come with me quietly. We go back to Helena. You marry me like you should have done months ago. Or I have my men burn this pathetic little town to the ground until you agree." "You wouldn't." "Wouldn't I? I've already paid the sheriff here a significant sum to look the other way. He's a lawman, Clara. He follows the money, just like everyone else." Clara's stomach dropped. Sheriff Dalton had sold them out. "I won't marry you," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'd rather die." "That can be arranged." Lockhart's expression hardened. "I'm done playing games, Clara. You're coming with me. Tonight. And if that outlaw you've been consorting with tries to stop me, I'll see him hanged." He moved toward her. Clara grabbed the letter opener, holding it out like a weapon. Lockhart laughed. "Really? You think that will stop me?" The door burst open. Noah stood there, breathing hard like he'd been running. His eyes took in the scene in an instant. "Step away from her," Noah said, his voice deadly calm. "Ah, the murderer." Lockhart didn't move. "I wondered when you'd show up." "I said step away." "Or what? You'll kill me too? Add another body to your count?" Lockhart smiled. "Go ahead. Try. My men are outside. The moment you touch me, they'll kill you both." Noah's hand hovered near his gun. Clara saw the calculation in his eyes. The impossible choice. Fight and die, or let Lockhart take her. Don't, Clara said quickly. Noah, don't. He's not worth dying over. You are. 3 words, spoken with such absolute certainty that Clara's eyes filled with tears. How touching, Lockhart sneered. The outlaw and the photographer. What a sordid little story. Better than being your possession, Clara spat. Lockhart's face flushed with anger. You ungrateful little... He never finished. The door opened again, and Sheriff Dalton walked in, his rifle aimed at Lockhart's back. I think you've overstayed your welcome, Mr. Lockhart, the sheriff said calmly. Lockhart spun around. You're supposed to be helping me. I paid you. You tried to bribe me. There's a difference. Dalton's expression was hard. And threatening to burn down my town? That was a mistake. You can't stop me. I have men. Had men. They're currently in my jail. Turns out threatening a sheriff is a crime, even for rich railroad men. Dalton gestured with the rifle. Now get out of my town, and if you come back, I'll arrest you for harassment and attempted kidnapping. Lockhart's face went purple with rage. This isn't over. I'll destroy you all. Maybe, but not today. Dalton cocked the rifle. Walk. For a moment, Clara thought Lockhart would refuse. But even his arrogance had limits. He shot one last venomous look at Clara, then walked out. They watched through the window as he climbed onto his horse and rode out of town, his men following from the jail under armed escort to the town boundary. Clara's legs gave out. She sank into a chair, shaking. Noah was beside her instantly, kneeling, taking her hands. Are you all right? Did he hurt you? No. I'm fine. Just scared. Dalton leaned his rifle against the wall. He'll be back, you know. Men like that don't give up. I know, Clara whispered. But not here. Not in my town. The sheriff looked between them. You two need to make a choice. Either you run again, keep running until you find somewhere he can't reach, or you stand and fight. Make this your home and defend it. Clara looked at Noah, saw her own exhaustion reflected in his eyes. They were so tired of running. I'm tired of being afraid, she said quietly. Tired of looking over my shoulder. If we run now, we'll run forever. Then we stay, Noah said. We make our stand here. Dalton nodded. Then you'll need help. I'll send word to the neighboring towns. Let them know Lockhart's not welcome in this territory. And I'll keep a watch for his men. He headed for the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I think you two are good for this town. We could use a photographer and a good ranch hand. Be nice if you stuck around. After he left, Clara and Noah sat in silence. He almost took me, Clara said finally. If you hadn't come. But I did. And I always will. Noah cupped her face in his hands. I love you, Clara. I know it's fast. I know we barely know each other. But I love you. And I'm not letting anyone take you from me. Clara's breath caught. You love me? Yes. Probably since that first day, when you threatened to shoot me with a rifle you didn't have. He smiled. You're the bravest, stubbornest, most incredible woman I've ever met. How could I not love you? Tears spilled down Clara's cheeks. I love you too. I think I have since you helped me run from Lockhart's men without even knowing why. Noah kissed her then, deep and sure. Clara kissed him back, pouring everything she felt into it. Love, and fear, and hope, and desperation. When they pulled apart, Noah rested his forehead against hers. Marry me. Clara's heart stopped. What? Marry me. Right now. Today. Let's go find a preacher and make this real. He pulled back to look at her. I know I'm wanted. I know I can't promise you safety or security. But I can promise you this. I will love you every day for the rest of my life. However long that is. Clara's answer came without hesitation. Yes. They were married that evening in the small church at the edge of town. Sheriff Dalton stood as witness. Mrs. Henderson from the boarding house cried happy tears. The preacher smiled as he pronounced them husband and wife. When Noah kissed his bride, Clara felt something settle in her chest. Peace. Belonging. Home. They walked back to the boarding house as the sun set, husband and wife now. Mrs. Henderson had discreetly moved Clara's things into Noah's room. She winked at them as they climbed the stairs. I know it's not much, Noah said as he opened the door to their room. Not the wedding night you deserve. Clara looked around the small room. A simple bed, a washstand, a window overlooking the street. It was perfect. It's everything I want, she said. Because you're here. Noah pulled her close, kissing her softly. I promise you, Clara Hawkins. Someday I'll give you more than this. A real home. Safety. Everything you deserve. I have everything I need right here. They stood by the window as full dark fell, wrapped in each other's arms. Outside, redemption settled into night. Somewhere out there, Cornelius Lockhart was planning his next move. Somewhere else, the law was still looking for Noah. But tonight, in this small room, they were safe. They were together. They were home. Tell me what you're thinking, Noah murmured against her hair. I'm thinking that a week ago, I was alone and terrified. And now I have you. I have hope. I have a future. She looked up at him. I'm thinking that accidentally finding you at that river was the luckiest moment of my life. Even though I saw you bathing? Especially because of that. If you'd ridden past, we never would have met. Noah smiled. Then I'm grateful for every embarrassing moment that led us here. He kissed her again, deeper this time. Clara melted into him, feeling safe and loved and cherished. When he lifted her and carried her to the bed, she went willingly. The night wrapped around them like a blanket. Outside, the town slept. But in their room, love bloomed in whispered words and gentle touches, in promises made and kept. When Clara finally fell asleep in Noah's arms, she dreamed of mountains, permanent and unchanging, a foundation to build a life on. Morning came with sunlight streaming through the window. Clara woke to find Noah already awake, watching her with such tenderness that her breath caught. Morning, wife, he said softly. Morning, husband. They lay there for a long moment, just looking at each other. Then Noah kissed her forehead and sat up. I need to get to the ranch, but tonight I want to take you to dinner, a real celebration. I'd like that. Clara spent the day in her studio, taking portraits and developing plates. But her mind kept drifting to Noah, her husband. The word still felt strange and wonderful. That evening, they ate at the hotel restaurant, the same place they'd had their first real meal together. But everything was different now. To us, Noah said, raising his glass of water, to accidentally finding each other, to being brave enough to run, to being even braver and choosing to stay. To us, Clara echoed, to love worth fighting for. They clinked glasses and drank. Around them, the restaurant hummed with quiet conversation. Sheriff Dalton sat at a corner table, keeping a watchful eye. Mrs. Henderson and her husband smiled at them from across the room. This was their community now, their home, their life. After dinner, they walked through the quiet streets. Noah took Clara's hand, and they strolled like they had all the time in the world. "I still can't believe you married me," Noah said. "A wanted outlaw with nothing to offer. You offered me everything that matters. Love, partnership, freedom." Clara squeezed his hand. "And you're not just an outlaw. You're a good man who got dealt a bad hand. Someday, everyone will know that. You have more faith in me than I have in myself. Good. Then I'll have enough faith for both of us." They stopped at the edge of town, looking out at the vast Wyoming landscape. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. "What do you think happens next?" Clara asked. "I don't know. Maybe Lockhart gives up. Maybe the law forgets about me. Maybe we just get to live quietly and build something good. Or maybe we keep fighting, keep defending this life we've chosen. Either way, we do it together." Clara turned in his arms, looking up at his face. "I love you, Noah Hawkins. I love you too, Clara Hawkins." He kissed her as the sun sank below the horizon. And in that moment, with his arms around her and their future stretching bright before them, Clara knew they'd made it. They'd survived. They'd found each other. They'd found home. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Two people who'd started as strangers, found each other by accident, and chose to build something beautiful from their broken pieces. The stars came out overhead, brilliant and endless. Clara thought of her father, of his camera, of all the beautiful moments she'd captured on glass. But this moment, this feeling, was beyond anything a photograph could hold. This was love. Real and imperfect, and absolutely worth fighting for. They walked back to the boarding house hand in hand, husband and wife, partners in every sense. Behind them, the town of Redemption settled into peaceful night. Ahead lay tomorrow, and all the tomorrows after that. And for the first time in longer than she could remember, Clara wasn't afraid. She was home. The days turned into weeks in Redemption, each one bringing new peace, new contentment. Clara's photography business grew. Noah became indispensable at the ranch. They saved money, made plans, built a life together. One evening, Sheriff Dalton stopped by their boarding house with news. "Just got word from Montana," he said. "The rancher who put the bounty on you, Hawkins. He's dead. Heart gave out last month." Noah went very still. "What does that mean?" "Means his son withdrew the bounty. Said he never believed you murdered his brother anyway. Called it a tragic accident." Dalton smiled. "You're a free man. No more running." Clara's eyes filled with tears. She grabbed Noah's hand and squeezed hard. "And Lockhart?" Noah asked. Railroad's investigating him for embezzlement and fraud. Seems your father wasn't the only one he cheated, Miss Clara. He's got bigger problems than chasing a woman who doesn't want him. Dalton tipped his hat. Thought you'd want to know. You can stop looking over your shoulders now. After he left, Clara and Noah sat in stunned silence. We're free, Clara whispered. Really free. Noah pulled her into his arms, holding her so tight she could barely breathe. We made it. We actually made it. They held each other as the sun set outside their window. Two people who'd run from everything and found each other. Two people who'd chosen love over fear, partnership over safety, hope over despair. That night, they walked to the edge of town one last time. The place where they'd stood so many evenings, looking out at the vast landscape and wondering what came next. Now they knew. Home came next. Family. A life built on love and trust, and the courage to keep choosing each other every single day. What do you want to do now? Clara asked. Now that you're free, you could go anywhere. Do anything. Noah turned her to face him, his hands gentle on her shoulders. I want to stay right here, with you. Build a real home. Maybe buy some land. Start our own ranch. Watch you take photographs and be brilliant. He smiled. I want to wake up next to you every morning for the rest of my life and know I'm the luckiest man alive. That sounds perfect, Clara said, her voice thick with emotion. That sounds like everything I've ever wanted. He kissed her as the stars came out overhead, as the night breeze carried the scent of sage and possibility. And Clara knew, with absolute certainty, that this was where she belonged. Not because she was running from something, but because she was running toward everything that mattered. Love. Freedom. Home. A future bright with promise and possibility, stretching endlessly before them like the vast Wyoming sky. They walked back through town hand in hand, greeting neighbors who'd become friends, passing the church where they'd married, the studio where Clara created art, the boarding house that had become their first home together. Tomorrow, they would start planning their ranch. They would choose land, build a house, create something permanent. Something that would last. But tonight, they had this moment. This perfect, peaceful, impossibly happy moment. Clara looked up at her husband, at the man who'd accidentally found her bathing in a river and changed her life forever. The man who'd chosen to help a stranger, to run with a fugitive, to love a woman brave enough to fight for her freedom. I love you, she said. Today, tomorrow, always. Always. Noah agreed, pulling her close. They climbed the stairs to their room, closing the door on the world outside. And in that small space, wrapped in each other's arms, they found everything they'd been searching for. Peace. Safety. Belonging. Love that would last a lifetime and beyond. Outside, redemption settled into peaceful night. The stars wheeled overhead in their eternal dance. The land stretched vast and beautiful in every direction. And in their room, two hearts beat as one. Two souls finally home. Two people who'd found each other against all odds and built something beautiful from the ashes of everything they'd lost. This was their happy ending. Hard-won and precious, and absolutely worth every moment of fear and struggle it took to reach it. This was love. This was home. This was everything.